On this episode of the Globe News Report, we'll take a look into Goshen College reappointing President Stoltzfus for a third term.
Ryan's Place, a nonprofit that provides support for grieving children and their families.
Joey Paternostro will take us through an end-of-the-year GC Sports update.
Isabel Massud shows us the process of deciding on the everence Student Athlete of the Week.
We'll have a few reptiles in studio with Tony Collison, owner and CEO of Goshen Reptile Expo.
And Kate will take us through the latest Goshen news.
All that and more is coming up on the Globe News Report. Welcome inside the Globe studios for the Globe News Report. I'm Liliana Herrera.
I'm Eduardo Alvarez Barrera.
Eduardo, have you realized that this is the final 2025 Globe News Report?
Lily, I still can't believe 2026 is around the corner, and I feel like the year has just flown by. But Lily, we have a whole bunch of things to talk about, so how about you start us off?
Goshen College Board of Directors reappointed President Rebecca Stoltzfus to a third term of 5 years. This third term will be effective on July 1st of 2026. Joey Paternostro has the story.
Earlier this month, Goshen College reappointed President Rebecca Stoltzfus to a third term. President Stoltzfus is well respected and appreciated for her work that she's done for GC. Vice President for Institutional Advancement Jody Byler says the president has been so eventful and successful in the community and on campus during her tenure.
She brings just a real wealth of experience and wisdom to those conversations.
During her tenure, President Stoltzfus has acquired the nickname President Becky. She graduated from Goshen College in 1983, and she says the core values that she acquired whilst being a student began showing up while she was working at Cornell University.
The values that I learned and embodied from my Goshen College days started appearing in my work.
While the future endeavors of Goshen College are still in the development stages, Vice President Byler talked about some of the great things that President Becky has already been able to accomplish.
Leading the initiatives to imagine and dream the Center for Nursing and Public Health, and then what would that look like if that was in a renovated West Lawn, and then working at the fundraising and meeting donors and engaging them in that vision, and then the construction and rebuild process and landing at a place where this has come to fruition.
President Becky spoke about what she values on the Goshen campus.
I really, really enjoy the wide variety of people I get to interact with. So students, of course, but also faculty, employees of all types, alumni, community leaders.
Vice President Byler says President Becky is the right fit for Goshen College.
You know, I think Becky is the leader we need right now.
Goshen College was recently named a Hispanic serving institution after nearly 20 years of dedication to reaching their goal. President Becky spoke about the importance of the Hispanic community to GC.
As we get better and better at serving Hispanic students, we're just a better college.
Vice President Byler says she's optimistic about President Becky's third term.
So I don't know what the future brings, but I think there are good things, big things yet ahead for us in her next term.
For Globe News, I'm Joey Paternostro.
Lily, I'm very excited to see what the future will look like for President Rebecca Stoltzfus.
I'm excited as well. She's done a lot of good for Goshen College.
After the break, we'll take a look into a nonprofit providing support for grieving children and their families. That's coming up on the Globe News Report.
Dream of a place to belong, to begin your journey, and to believe in something bigger than yourself. A place where you aren't lost in the crowd, but are part of the team. Communication professionals are in high demand, and Goshen College will give you the tools and hands-on experience to transform your passions into a rewarding career. Begin your career in journalism and be an agent of change at the best college newspaper in the state of Indiana, The Record. Begin a filmmaking career with 5 Core Media and work on Emmy-winning productions that propel graduates to Hollywood and beyond. And take our Semester in LA program to get a jump start in the industry. Begin your career as a public relations major, one of the fastest growing professions in the country. Begin a rewarding broadcasting career on the air at 91.1 The Globe, the best college radio station in the nation. Be a DJ, host TV shows, and broadcast live sports. Believe in yourself and make it possible at Goshen College.
Inside the Globe studios, this is the Globe News Report. Eduardo, I just recently got the opportunity to learn about this organization called Ryan's Place. Have you ever heard of them?
Lily, to be honest with you, I've never heard of that organization, but I'm very excited to learn more with your package. Ryan's Place is a nonprofit organization that serves the community of Goshen with free grief counseling for children and adults. Liliana Herrera has the story.
Grief is an emotion that can be hard to put into words, especially for young children. But Ryan's Place, a nonprofit organization, is taking steps to help those of all ages who have lost a loved one. This organization, founded in 2002, has been the central hub in the Goshen community for grief support for children and adults dealing with loss. And now, with their new 18,000 square foot facility, there is more room for those in need.
This place has just opened up our possibilities of how we can help heal the hearts of children and families in our community. You know, it was wonderful renting space from the churches and organizations that we were with, but we were really limited. This is a purpose-built grief space, which means we have specialty rooms where kids can really play out their stories, their grief.
The facility has multiple rooms like the theater room and the grief cave, each one allowing the children to deal with their emotions differently.
We've got a high energy room, a volcano room, or a tornado room, you know, we just like to give it like big energy room, where the kids can go in and they can really let out that anger and energy that they have. We've got a hospital room, which is wonderful. Like it's set up like a hospital room where children can go in, you know, if they've had someone die in hospital, that they can go in there and, you know, process their grief.
Ryan's Place is able to serve hundreds in the community, not just with their staff, but with volunteers and interns who are able to see the growth of the children they work with.
I've seen people come in that they're like not even able to talk about the death or any of their grief. I've seen a lot of kids that, you know, especially boys that like, you know how most boys are totally not in touch with their emotions. And then we've got these middle school kids that they're able to talk about their emotions in a more profound and explicit way than maybe even some adults are. And yeah, it's really cool to see that.
With the new facility, the future looks bright for Ryan's Place. Reporting for Globe News, I'm Liliana Herrera.
Lily, it's awesome to see that we have a facility like that for the community.
Yeah, it was a really good experience to be able to see how many different rooms they have for kids to be able to explore their own grief.
Yeah.
Now we are going to switch up this lineup and throw it to our sports segment for this show.
Joey's got our latest sports package, and also we'll take a look into our week with the Maple Leaf Minute. Joey, take it away.
Thanks, guys. I've got a bit to talk about, so I'll get right to it. First, we'll dive into Wednesday night basketball. Earlier this week at Marian University, both the men's and women's basketball teams traveled to Indianapolis to take on the Marian Knights. We'll begin with the women. In a tough matchup against the number 5 ranked Knights, Goshen took a tough loss, 91-45. GC got off to a slow start after being held to just 17 points in the first 2 quarters. Marian's defense shined, but it wasn't all bad news for the Maple Leafs. Carrie Heiler scored 13 points to lead the Leafs. She was 3 for 10 from three-point range and had a pair of rebounds. Ava Egolf had 9 points, all coming in the 4th quarter. She also showed up on the defensive end with 5 steals. Egolf had 5 steals in her last 6 games combined. The 5 steals are the most by a GC player since Ava Licklider had 5 on January 18th last season against Huntington. Ziane Finesi had 11 points off the bench with a career-high 3 assists. She scored double-digit points in 5 of her last 6 games and seen her scoring average improve from 7.0 to 10.8 points per game. Lucia Luque also had a season high with 10 rebounds. Moving to the men's game, the outcome wasn't any better. GC put up a fight but walked away with the 69-53 loss. After the first half of play, the Knights led 30-29. After a back and forth half, the Knights would go on to retain the lead for the remainder of the game. Marian took control of the game when they went on a 19-4 run in the second half, where they held the Maple Leafs scoreless for a little over 5 minutes. While Goshen held Marian to shooting 2 of 16 from 3, that's 13%. The Knights had an overall field goal percentage of 43% compared to Goshen's 30%.
30%. Highlights for the men include Tyrell Hunt leading the squad with 14 points, a block, a steal, and 5 rebounds. Marcus Northern continued his consistency as he had 13 points, going 3 for 4 from beyond the arc. Switching gears to shed some light on some GC success, the Everence Student Athlete of the Week. This week, the honor goes to Duncan Kogi. Kogi was named an All-American at the NAIA National Championship last week, Friday, November 21st. He crossed the finish line with 24 minutes, 45.3 seconds, which is the 11th fastest time in program history and the 3rd fastest time this season. He finished in 15th place, the highest individual men's finisher at nationals in program history, topping Matthew Chiatani's 17th place finish from just a year ago. Kogi joins a small group of 4 Maple Leafs to be men's cross-country All-Americans: Chiatani, Kogi, Nelson, Kemboy, and Ryan Smith. On that note, let's turn to behind the scenes to find out how that certain athlete gets to be chosen to be the Student Athlete of the Week. Isabel Massud has that story.
The Everence Student Athlete of the Week, previously known as Maple Leaf of the Week, has been an outstanding award for performance for all student athletes since 2011. However, the behind the scenes on how this choice is made has always been unknown, up until now.
So I'm the one who chooses the Everence Student Athlete of the Week. And the main criteria is that you have a good athletic performance in the previous week, whether that's 1 game, 2 games, whatever you did the last week. And there are occasions when I can't decide between 2 or 3 people, and I'll go to Tony, our statistician, and get a second opinion.
According to the Assistant Athletic Director of Communications and Operations, the main source for his weekly tasks are the statistics registered during the matches. But it is important to look at the bigger picture, ensuring the right choice is made.
It's for basketball. Let's say this person had a 25-point game. That would do pretty good. But it's also a combination. If you had 25 points but you had 0 rebounds, then maybe there's someone else who maybe scored 18 points but had 12 rebounds. That's sort of more balanced. Also maybe if you had a milestone. So maybe if you had your 1,000th dig or your 1,000th assist.
The Everence Student Athlete of the Week award is a key component for morale within teams and the athletic department, but also impacts future performances of those that are recognized.
One of the things is that it's nice just to share the positive stories of our athletes. And sometimes, you have a game, but you may not necessarily realize the individual accomplishments of someone until you sort of see it shared. You're like, oh, this person actually scored this many points, or I didn't realize they had that good of a game until you sort of single out that individual performance.
Reporting for Globe Sports, I am Isabel Massud.
I have to say, I didn't know the process was that detailed, but I love to see the unwrapping of what happens behind the scenes. For now, I'll send it back to Lily and Eduardo, who have your regularly scheduled news report. This has been your Maple Leaf Minute.
Thanks, Joey, for that sports update.
After the break, Lily and I will be able to take a look at some cold-blooded critters that are part of the Reptile Expo. You're watching the Globe News Report.
Inside the Globe Studios, we have Tony Collison, the owner and CEO of Goshen Reptile Expo. Tony, we are so glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
Now, okay, first things first, we got to talk about why bring the expo here to Goshen?
Well, I've ran a expo in Kalamazoo for 20 years now, but at the time it was almost 8 years ago that we started the Goshen Reptile Expo, and I had talked to some people, and then it was kind of a far drive, and this community just seemed to be really excited, and this is something they thought they would want, so we said, okay, let's give it a shot, and it's been 8 years now, and we have just absolutely loved being here.
Yeah, so We'll start first with the lovely iguana you've got there on your shoulder. So tell us a little bit about it.
So this is Baby. She is a almost 4-year-old rhinoceros iguana. They're called rhinoceros iguanas because they have this horn on their head. But they come from the island of Hispaniola, and unlike the green iguanas, they're more of a ground species, so they like to stay on the ground. And they're a lot more muscular and confident, so they tend to be a lot calmer.
Okay.
Tony, tell me a little bit about what snake I have here. This is a beautiful color to this snake.
So you have a western hognose snake. We have a very similar species native to Indiana here, the eastern hognose snake. But these guys are a little bit smaller, and they tend to do very well in captivity. They're pretty laid back. That is an albino, so it lacks the black pigment, and so as you can see, it has the red eyes and more of a yellowish color to its scales.
This is amazing. And tell me, does one of these usually get priced a little higher because it is albino?
They are.
They
yes.
are? Okay, and how much would you say that raises?
It depends on the availability, and prices go up and down and everything else, but typically maybe like $100 it would go up because of it being albino.
That is awesome. And tell me, what snake is Lily holding over there?
So she also has a western hognose snake. That would be the wild type, or a normal. So same species, he's just a little bit younger, and that's what they would look like in the wild.
Okay, now tell me a little bit about the hognose. Are they typically pretty good for pets?
Yes, I think they're really good as pets. They tend to be very easygoing, and since they've been bred in captivity for so long, there are so many colors. So you have the albino here, but you can even get them in all white or pink. You can get them almost all black or gray. Just almost any color you can think of.
Yeah. So now tell me a little bit about their appetite. What does that look like for the hognose?
Oh, so they are a very hungry snake. They really like to eat. Some people would refer to them as being kind of derpy because they will try to eat anything that smells like food. In the wild, they would like toads, frogs, lizards, mice, possibly even small birds.
Okay.
And they have this neat little hook-shaped rostrum on their nose, and that helps them kind of dig around through sand and find their food.
Wow, that is really cool. I gotta say, this is probably the first time I'm ever holding a hognose. This has been one of the snakes I've always wanted to hold.
They are really cool.
They are super cool. Now, I do want to know a little bit more about Baby here. So what does their appetite kind of look like?
They are also very enthusiastic about their food. They like any kind of leafy green vegetable. They also love fruits. Her favorite foods are bananas and blueberries, but like dandelion greens and some of the more less flavorful but nutritious greens are what's best for them.
Right. Now, I do want to know, would a pet like Baby be something that would be sold at the Reptile Expo in Goshen?
Yes, actually. Okay. So this is the species I'm very passionate about. I've been raising them now for about a decade. Wow. I like them quite a bit. The downside to an animal like this is that they need a very large enclosure. They are very active, and they get to be very large. And they really like to be social, so they like to be with other iguanas. Okay. And so you really have to be very committed to have something like this because they do get very large. But if you're willing to provide them with the proper enclosure, I think they're a very rewarding animal.
And tell me a little bit more. I'm just amazed by this snake. I mean, this is maybe my second to third time ever holding a snake. I think my first ever time holding it without any assistance. I mean, what is needed to take care of a snake like this one?
So those guys are really simple to take care of. They would need, like a 20-gallon aquarium would be very appropriate for them. They like aspen shavings, or even like they call it eco earth, but it's ground coconut. It's like a soil substitute, and they like to burrow in that. Wow. They love to dig around. That would be kept at slightly above room temperature. So if you have about 70 degrees is just the ambient temperature, and then like a little heat pad on there that would keep them up to about 85, 90. That's pretty happy for them. They do not have eyelids, so everybody likes to think that they need lights, but they don't. It'll actually cause them to go blind, and they get very uncomfortable, so just the regular lighting is perfect.
And tell me, would this be counted as, I know there's a lot of animals that are counted as beginner animals, maybe to start off if you're thinking about getting a snake. Would you say this is one of them?
Yes, that would be a very good beginner snake. Corn snakes, ball pythons are also wonderful species. I just happen to like these guys more.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. They are absolutely
Super cool.
awesome.
And I'm having a great time over here with my
Yes,
little
I am
hog nose.
also.
Now, one more question that I have for you before we close this out is, so why is it that you're so passionate about the rhino iguanas?
Some animals live longer than others, and I really like with the rhinos, it's something that you can keep your whole life. It's something, you know, particularly if I was your age, it's something that I would have forever.
Right.
But they're very interactive, they're very intelligent. You can see in their eyes, they think a lot. They don't just, not to put the green iguana down, but green iguanas are kind of spastic and they just run across the room and you don't really see a lot of thought there, whereas the rhinoceros iguanas, they'll stop and they'll think. They'll look at people. You see how they tilt their head and they'll kind of try to figure you out.
Oh.
We call it talking. I don't know if it's technically talking, but when they are with others of their species, and even sometimes when they're really excited about a person, they'll actually open up their mouth and they'll make clicking sounds and they'll tilt their heads different ways, and it really looks like they're trying to communicate with you and however iguanas communicate, but there's a lot of personality there.
Yeah, that is really cool. Now, my last question for you is, why should people go to the expo tomorrow?
I think it's a lot of fun. You also can learn about animals. So, you know, maybe you see something on TV or you're watching it on a YouTube channel and you think, oh, that's a neat animal. And you go to the Reptile Expo and you can actually get hands on it. You can talk to the breeders and you get all the information to find out, is this something I can really take care of? Mm-hmm. Is this something I really want, or would I be happier just coming and seeing one now and again when I you know, want to see an animal?
Right.
But you see so many varieties. Sometimes you go, oh, okay, what I really want is a snake, and then you go there and you find out, wow, I think what a lizard is really what's going to fit my lifestyle the best. And
Well, that's great. You know, Tony, thank you so much for coming in today, and especially for bringing in your reptilian friends here. After the break, we will bring you more local news and events with the Goshen News Week in Review and the Community Calendar. Stick around. You're watching the Globe News Report.
So you just graduated from Goshen College? What experiences prepared you for this job?
Where do I begin?
Inside the Globe studios, you're watching the Globe News Report. Lily, I don't know about you, but that was probably one of the most fun interviews that I have ever done.
Eduardo, I have always wanted to do an interview with a live animal, so that was such an exciting experience. Unfortunately, we will have to take a break from the animals and throw it to Kate Bodiker with the Goshen News Week in Review.
Thanks, guys. On Wednesday, La Casa held their ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new Lakeshore Drive apartments that are almost ready to be used. The project is made up of several buildings, each of which has a specific community that it's hoping to serve, including those who need mental health support, those who make significantly less than the median income, and youth who are aging out of the foster care system. Residents are expected to move in around the end of the year. Democrats and Republicans in the Indiana House continue to clash over a redistricting bill. The Democrats' attempts at changes to the bill were just almost unanimously voted down by the House Republicans. The bill would shift district lines, removing the 2 Democratic-led districts and creating a 9-0 Republican map. Much of the current round of arguments is concerned with how the bill will affect government spending. And a man in Elkhart has pleaded guilty to the death of his son, though his defense told the judge that he was mentally ill and in active psychosis at the time of the crime. The child's mother said that he was referring to himself in the third person and linking himself to grandiose biblical references, as he called her threatening to kill his son and daughter, though his daughter survived. Sentencing is set for January 8th. Liliana, Eduardo, back to you.
Thank you to the Goshen News for providing the stories and the photos for this week.
Now we will bring you local events with our community calendar.
With the first week of December just about to wrap up, downtown Goshen will be celebrating their monthly First Fridays. The theme for this month is Hometown Holidays. There'll be carols sung on Main Street, and Santa Claus will be at Fable's Books for free photos. And don't miss the Christmas tree lighting starting at 6:30.
Running from tonight, December 5th to December 7th, Goshen College presents their 22nd annual music celebration, a festival of carols. The performance will be held in the Music Center's Souter Concert Hall. This will feature 4 choirs and orchestra, and the audience is encouraged to participate during the traditional carols. The event begins at 7:30 p.m. for tonight and Saturday, and will begin on Sunday at 4 p.m. Tickets can be bought online at goshen.universitytickets.com.
If you're not a lover of the cold, well, the holiday lights of Elkhart County 4-H Fairgrounds might just be your thing. It's a bright drive-through experience running from December 5th through December 26th, and tickets are priced at $10 per vehicle and $15 for 15-plus passenger vehicles. More information can be found at 4hfair.org.
That's a wrap on our community calendar and on 2025. I'm Liliana Herrera.
I'm Eduardo Alvarez Barrera, and for the whole Globe staff,
Merry Christmas!